When we first started doing board game content years ago, we were in our dining room. You can see it here. There's a laptop on a stack of games because that's how we streamed. There is a webcam taped to our overhead light, which would sometimes start swinging and we wouldn't realize it for a couple minutes. This was the first studio for the Brothers Murph and it worked, but man, oh man, was it a bit rough. After that, we decided to move on up and move into our living room. This set was a lot bigger and was a lot easier to use. It was easier to have the green screen for things like streaming. We just had more room and it was just so much easier to maneuver around and kind of get different angles and just ways to do it. But it was still pretty simple. After this, Mike and his now wife, Karen, decided they wanted to get a little more serious, and so they decided to move in together, and our next studio was in a spare bedroom in their apartment that we rented from them. This studio was a huge upgrade. We got most of our lights off the ground. We had multiple different sets, the kind of wall of games, a nice wood wall, and even a third set that came eventually.
Look at all this room we have. We couldn't do this in our old studio. It's just so nice.
And then Mike and Karen got even more serious and decided to buy a house together. So the Brothers Murph studio moved again and it moved into their garage. Now we're in a 20 by 20 garage. It was like we were in a palace. We built out the studio and really had used everything that we learned from video production and things that we want in a studio and really put them into this studio as well as we could. But it's time for a change.
First time in the studio.
Boom. This is the space. It is done, as you can see.
As you can see.
There's nothing more to do except for start filming stuff. This is our space, though.
There's a baby here. Someone just left it here.
This is literally our first time walking in after getting the keys, so it's very raw and stuff. You're going to start to see a lot more transformations, things. We'll take you through a proper tour, but this is just the first impression, and stoked. Free fire extinguisher, look at that.
Welcome to the new Brothers Murph studio. Let's go. So I'll give a little tour and kind of talk about our general ideas for the spaces. There are 3 separate offices plus this kind of main space. I'll put up a blueprint of the building, of the space, so that you can see kind of what we're talking about. But I guess we'll start over here. Also, it kind of goes without saying that everything I'm saying is completely subject to change because we haven't moved in. We're going to be buying a whole bunch of new equipment, all this kind of stuff. We also going to be running a Kickstarter soon, and a lot of that money is going to be to building the studio. We're actually already going to be running a Kickstarter before we decided / knew we were going to move, and then it kind of just lined up like perfectly. We'd already decided when to do it, and then we're actually moving around the same time. But so everything might change, just know that. So this is like a little closet. It's like, I measured out, I think it's like 6'4" in here by like 3 something. So it's a really small closet or breakers in here. We don't really know what we're gonna do with this room because we kind of have another like storagey room. But we'll probably use this for some kind of storage. We're not entirely sure what yet. This right here is kind of like the entrance room. I guess it's like the reception area if we ever needed something like that. Which we don't. So we will probably be using this kind of as like a hangout area. There's be a lot of times where like Logan will be over here, or Karen might be here, our brother and sister, our mom, whoever might be here. We'll probably put like a couch or something like that in here, but it's kind of a big open space. Okay, so now you're over in that little cubby that we might put a couch, like a water cooler, and then this kind of little cut-in area, we have one office here, one office there, and then there's one right here, and then this is also kind of like a little storage room. So this is one of the offices. This office, at this point, we are expecting to be the playthrough room. One of the main benefits of having an office space with like very distinctly different places is that each set can kind of be its own thing. Right now, we're just in one big room because we're in a garage, and everything is kind of everything in there. So things have to move a lot. This room particularly, the playthrough room, because playthroughs are such a big part of what we do on our channel, they're a big part of our income, we really want this room to be very static in the sense that it just like it never moves, the cameras never move, nothing moves, the lights never move, everything is exactly the same. So we'll probably put the table here and kind of shoot, at the angles that we normally shoot at, kind of into here, and then there's this little kind of cutout cubby over here. So there's this kind of cutout because this is actually a hallway that then goes outside. There's this little cutout here, so over here we'll probably put a big shelf where we can put all the games that we're working on, whether they're working on them for BGG or our own stuff. We are planning on hanging some kind of cage from the ceiling. We'll have to figure out exactly how we want to do that because again, we're going to have a down camera, we're going to have lights, whole bunch of different stuff. And again, the good thing is that all those things should stay here. So this room, once it's done, really shouldn't ever change. It really shouldn't ever move, which is going to be an absolute godsend.
Okay, so there's that office, and we're gonna swing over, boop, to that office.
So this office is kind of just a big rectangle, which is nice because it's just big and open. It's pretty echoey in here right now because there's no soundproofing. Also, the sound in these places is probably gonna be very good because there's also no carpet. It's not too bad. This is probably the worst room in terms of sound, so we'll have to do a little soundproofing in here. But again, the carpets will help that a lot. So right now we have like cement floor. We do have drop ceiling, which is nice for sound, but it's not the best without any carpets. But this is probably where we're gonna have all of our other sets that aren't our playthrough set. On this wall, we're thinking about having a sitting set. We wanna have some like nice chairs, relaxing chairs, and be like sitting with probably like mics that we can kind of move around. And then along this wall, and then along this wall, we're probably going to have various standing sets. And this room will be a lot more fluid, i.e. like, we'll probably have some lights hanging, but we'll probably have cameras on like tripods, preferably with like wheels so we can move them around. We'll probably have a couple big like key lights that are on wheels that we can move around, because here I might be standing over here to do a thing. We might be sitting down here, we might be standing over there, and here we want flexibility. That room over there, we want static. We want to not move, nothing to change. This room, we want things to change. We want to be able to change up where we film, the look of stuff. It's that kind of stuff is really important to us. That's probably what's going to be all in here.
So now next to that office and in between that big office, there's this kind of little office that is essentially like too small to be anything for us to use. Like we could make a set in here, like our little standing set in our studio right now is actually probably about this size. So we could turn it into a set, but we just don't think we're gonna need to. Like if we have our playthrough set there and then a couple different sets, like 2 or 3 sets over into this office, I don't think we're gonna need a set in here. So this is probably gonna be our main storage room. This is also where we have like our internet, all that kind of stuff is up here on the other side of this wall. And so this will probably be storage. This is probably we'll put like, we have a bunch of costumes, props. We'll probably put like cabinets that have our filming equipment in it so we can like charge those things. That'll probably all be in here because it's actually a decent sized room. I think it's like 12, no, I think it's like 10 by 8. It's a decent sized room, but it's not that big. And so we'll probably just use it as storage. Alrighty, the last room is this office. This is also the only office with windows, which is a very, very big deal for us. It's kind of hard to see because just how filming works, but this is actually the biggest office in the office. This room is like 17 by 17, I think. It's really, really big. This will probably be our actual office, mostly just because it's the only office with windows. We don't really want windows because they make lighting not very good. We want to be able to control the lighting. So we'll probably have this be our office. This is also probably where all of our games will go. We're going to be getting away from doing the kind of wall of games as a set. So therefore our games need to go somewhere, and they're probably going to all go in here. And then we'll probably have some more rooms. So we'll probably still treat this as storage. But this office, if there was one thing we could change, we would kind of hope the windows were on maybe the office over there instead of this one, because this is the biggest room. We would really prefer to have this room be the room with like the sitting set, the standing sets, as opposed to our office, but it is what it is. And we're still super hyped to have windows. It's gonna be really, really nice. And it's really nice that only one of the offices has windows, but it just happens to be the biggest one, which is a little bit of a bummer, but not really. It's like, it's gonna be nice for us when we're in here editing and stuff. So this room right here is probably gonna be, again, bunch of like shelves and shelves and shelves of games. And then Mike and I over here with desks and stuff, and then computers and all that kind of stuff. So that is a quick look at the studio in terms of like how it is now. Again, obviously it's very empty. There's no carpets, that kind of stuff. They're still working on it. We are probably gonna do the big move for the studio in a couple of weeks. And then we'll probably start like officially working in the studio probably around the end of June, which is when we're actually officially moving.
In that kind of May, June time, we will be up fairly frequently building out the studio and getting it ready for us to work in. So yeah, that's it. Again, everything I talked about kind of is subject to change. We have some ideas of what we want to do, and we're trying to kind of figure that out. One thing we're going to have to figure out is all the rooms have internet access, and so we're going to have to figure out how that's going to work. One of the main things is, like, particularly in the playthrough room, we really want to basically have everything we're recording record directly into our computer, as opposed to having to do it all on like SD cards and then offload that. So if anyone knows how to do that, I know you can, because I know other people who do it, but I just don't know how to do it for us. But hopefully what we can do is take cords, run them through the ceilings, and drop down into our computers, because we're going to be recording relatively big files. Because one thing, when we're moving everything over to 4K as well. And that's going to be a really big, cool change. But it kind of means that we really would like to just be going straight to a computer if we can. We also might need like some network attached storage to kind of have more storage for our computers. We kind of maybe want to do like a networking of computers, so we kind of just have one big computer as opposed to like two separate ones. We're not entirely sure. That kind of stuff we have to figure out, and researching cameras and things like that. So this process of finding a place was interesting. We really went back and forth in a bunch of different ways trying to figure out exactly what it was we were looking for. We originally thought doing something in an office space. What we ended up in, we were looking at industrial spaces like warehouses and things like that. And we ended up settling on an office space because of it's easier to control the sound. There's a lot less kind of hidden crappy fees. Because we're in an office building, we don't have to pay power. All that's kind of baked into our rent. It gets very hot in the summer in Sacramento, so that's definitely a factor. And it's just overall just kind of nicer. Better internet too is a huge, huge deal for us. Office spaces kind of get you something they don't have any character, right? It's just white walls. We're gonna have to bring the character. But they kind of give you things that tend to be hard to get, which is good sound and good internet. And so we really wanted that. And we ended up in an office space because of that. And we're really happy we did. Originally, we really kind of wanted to be in a place that was like basically one big room, as opposed to this, which is like separate offices. But when we found this place, because we saw about 20 different spaces, we just fell in love with it. And we were like, I think everything kind of being segregated like this is going to be really useful, because now I could be like filming in here and Mike could be like editing in the office, and we can't do that now. If Mike is editing and click-clacking and stuff like that, or maybe writing an email, I can't be filming anything with sound. Now we can. Now we can actually be constantly working at the same time, which actually in a lot of ways right now, and how we've always worked, we haven't been able to. Unless we're both filming something at the same time or we're together, we usually can't both be working. Maybe if I'm doing like an overview where I don't need to record sound, Mike can be editing, we can do that, but that's basically it. Any other time, kind of one of us has to work and the other one is kind of not doing much. And then we kind of have to flip-flop because we only have one table to work on. We only have one camera really that we use. And so this is gonna be so much nicer because we're gonna be able to be so much more efficient with the way that we go about things. This means we're gonna be able to not work so many hours, and just be able to have higher quality stuff with hopefully less work, which will be really great. So some of you out there might be wondering why? Why are we doing this? Why do we have a studio now? And the short reason is because we have to, but the more truthful answer is because we have to and because we really want to. We have to because right now we are in Mike and his wife Karen's garage, and that has been great. It really has. It's been such a massive upgrade from being based in the bedroom that we were before. But where Mike and Karen are moving to now here in Sacramento, there is not a place for our studio. And then I'm going to be renting a place. I'll be already renting out an apartment or a house like that. We won't be able to have the studio at my place either. So we kind of didn't really have much of a choice. But the real answer is because we wanted to. We have dreamed about having a studio outside of our homes for a while. Mike and I don't really like working from home. We enjoy going to work. It's very hard, particularly for me, to separate work from normal life. So having the studio even at Mike's place was tough because whenever I was at Mike's place, I would feel like I was at work, and we really want to not have that. But also one of the main reasons, maybe even the main reason, is basically every single time we've moved into a new studio, it's always been a massive upgrade from the time before. We were originally in our dining room, then we moved to the living room, then we moved to a bedroom at Mike's apartment, and then we moved to a garage at Mike and Karen's house. Every one of those has been a massive upgrade, but basically every single time we moved into a new place, we would go, man, this is awesome, this is so much better. I can't wait till we get the next place because we're gonna have even more space. And we basically wanted to not have that thought. We always would get into a new studio space and then immediately be dreaming about the next studio space because we knew kind of that wasn't gonna be the end place. And who knows, I don't think this is gonna be the end place either, but we know that this place could be the end place and we could be here for years and years and years and be fine. We really wanted to not have that feeling of like, man, can't wait for the next spot. We're always super hyped about our new studios, but we're always thinking about the next one. We want that to not be the case, which is why we got a studio space, that is kind of a little bit unnecessarily large for us right now, but our whole operation has been growing. We've been needing more and more and more space, and so we're like, let's future-proof a little bit and let's kind of not have that can't wait for the next space kind of feeling. And you might rightfully be thinking like, but you don't need that much space. And that's true. We've gotten, when we were talking about a new studio space, at this point, like a year or two ago, there was someone in our chat, not one of our regulars, so if you're a regular, don't worry about it, who's basically being like, why? Why do you want that? There are listed out a bunch of board game YouTubers who only have one set, and they're bigger than you. You know, it basically saying like, why do you want this stuff? Why do you want this stuff? And by the way, absolutely no shade to any channel, board games or not, that only has one set or whatever. That's great. That's way better than what we want, frankly. But Mike and I have always, we need variety to keep our thing interesting. If we're doing the exact same thing over and over and over again in the exact same set over and over and over again with nothing changing, we get bored. And it's just for us, like, we've always really valued variety in what we do. It's one of the reasons why we constantly are trying to do different types of videos, even when so often they just don't do anything. They don't go anywhere because we have to do it. We have to have variety. It's like, yeah, we could just have one set and that would be it. That would work totally great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean that sincerely. This is honestly no shade towards anyone who only has like one set, but that's just never been us. If you know anything about us, we are very extra. We are very over the top. And yeah, we probably don't need a sitting set, an entire wall that's a standing set, and then an entire other wall that's a standing set, and then a playthrough set in here. We probably don't need that. But for us, that's what makes it interesting. Being like, oh, this time let's film in this angle. This time let's film in this angle. This time let's film farther back and kind of show more. This time let's be over here. It's like, for us, that's what's interesting. For us, that's what keeps us going in this whole thing, is like that creative freedom is really, really valuable to us. And every single set we've been in, we've always tried to like really maximize the space, especially in the bedroom that we were in that one time. We had three full different sets. We had three different sets in that space, and it was a not very big bedroom. That bedroom was smaller than this room for sure. And we had three different sets in there because to us, just trying to get as much as we can out of the space has always been a big deal for us. And so now having a space like this where we really can like spread our wings and do some cool stuff is just, I don't know, it really matters to us. And so it's like the honest answer of like, why are you doing this? It's like, we don't need to. No, technically not. But for us, it really matters, and it keeps us wanting to do this. It keeps us wanting to do different things, because now it's like, oh, we can film in there. We can film over here. We can do stuff over here. We can do this. It's just, to us, that really matters. And like, who knows? We might be here forever. We might end up getting a bigger space because our operation has grown, or we want to have this kind of set. And it's just like, for us, we fully acknowledge how unnecessary that is. But for us, I don't know, it matters. That kind of variety, that kind of stuff just makes a huge difference to us. And so, yeah, we don't really need it, but we're very happy. All right, so that's gonna be it for the little studio tour right now. Again, if you have any suggestions, stuff that you wanna see us do in here, please let us know down in the comments below. This is a really big deal. So much of this is because of y'all. Actually, all of this is because of y'all. If y'all weren't watching, we wouldn't have a career at all. You know, our patrons, if you're going to give to our Kickstarter, any of those things, the publishers who hire us to do stuff, all these people allow us to do this, and we're very, very excited. We're so hyped for the future. We cannot wait to get in here and start doing stuff. We can't wait to start building stuff out. We can't wait for you to see what it all looks like in the end. We're so excited. It just means, all of this just means that like we're gonna be able to do more stuff way better and probably faster and more organized and more efficient. It's just gonna be so freaking cool. And we're very, very, very excited about it. And so hopefully you are excited too, because you're the ones who are gonna be watching this. And so we love you all to death. Thank you so much for watching our stuff, because that has made all of our dreams come true, including a weird carpetless studio like this. So we will keep you all updated. We'll probably be posting pictures and doing some more vlog updates as we're building stuff out. But nonetheless, this is Brothers Murph Studio. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Thank you so much for watching that cool little studio tour. We hope you're as excited as we are. We are super pumped. We want to give a big shout out to our channel sponsors, Garphill Games, Restoration Games, and Board Game Geek. And a big shout out to y'all for watching and making this whole thing possible. We love you to death. Keep on keeping on, y'all.